my first culture shock, like the biggest culture shock I had was when I went to the grocery store because I was still within sight of my companion, but she kind of just like left and did her own thing. And I was like, everything's in a different language. And it's not like, Spanish where you're like, okay, I think I can get the meaning of that. They're all in like these characters. And so you don't have any idea. And since I hate seafood, I was like, there's going to be seaweed in every single thing here. And so I was terrified. Yeah, I didn't know what to do. But I kind of like followed my companion and got similar stuff that she got. They have normal food. You can find it. Their milk tastes a little bit different than ours does. Their juices are absolutely amazing. They're so good. Yeah, they have cereal if you want to find it. But yeah, it was definitely a culture shock to me, and especially because my companion was like, okay, go and pay for your food. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. Um, but you survive. It's good. The hardest thing is like once you buy your groceries, you don't really know what you can make. It's like buying these ingredients and you don't know what you can make. But it's really nice if you talk to your companions beforehand, and if you like, oh, are we going to share meals or are we not going to? That's really helpful to know beforehand, because every companionship does it a little bit differently. But yeah, that was a culture shock. The I have blonde hair, blue eyes, and I'm 6'1", so it was a little different for me. I got to church, and everyone was like, "Oh, sega takai," which means, "Wow, you're really tall." And I'm like, "Thanks." I did hit my head on many a doors every morning when I woke up. That was it was good, but the culture, the people are very, very, very respectful. And however, because they're respectful, they don't show emotion around people as a form of respect. And so it's very hard to kind of get to know them in a different way. The members are a lot different. They express themselves a little more, and the members will like save you. I love them. But it was really hard for me to actually open up and love the people. I kind of had this thought going into the mission, like, oh, once I get to Japan, I'll just love the people. But it actually takes work. Just because they had a different way of doing things, they didn't express themselves, so it was very hard to get to know them on a more personal level. They just, I don't know, for some reason it was difficult for me. Some people go to Japan and they love the people right away, but for me, for some reason, it was really hard. I think a lot of it also had to do because I couldn't communicate with them. I didn't know how to build a relationship with them. And so it was really hard. And something I really struggled with was to learn to love the Japanese people. But I don't know, now, like, I look back on my mission and that is my most favorite thing by far. It's really the people that made the mission. It wasn't my experiences. It wasn't the food, the culture, the mission president, the companions. It was none of that. It was the relationships I made there with some of the investigators and the members. The members will do anything for you. They're the sweetest people in the entire world. It took me a while to see that, but seriously, I love those people so much. And I get excited. I get to Skype with them often, and it just makes me so happy. But it didn't come naturally for me. It's something I had to pray for and work for. It was like the deepest desire of my heart. People would always say, oh, just lose yourself in the work and you'll love them. And I was like, I don't know what you mean by that. I'm working hard. I'm doing my best. I'm being obedient. I'm trying to do everything I've been told. I'm trying to serve the people when I study. I'm focusing in on their needs. But this love for them wouldn't come naturally. It would come to a certain extent, especially with your investigators. It's easier to love your investigators as you see them progress and go further. But yeah, in all honesty, sometimes the Japanese, they weren't necessarily rude. They were very respectful, but they were a little bit arrogant at sometimes, and that was really hard for me. But I would fast and I'd pray, and it wouldn't come. It wouldn't come. I wanted to love them with all my heart, and it wasn't coming. I could love certain people, but the Japanese people as a whole, it was really hard for me to love them. And I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. And it didn't come all at once. it came little by little. But I noticed every time you transfer, you had to kind of go through the process of, again, it was a new set of people that you had to learn to love. And you wouldn't think your love was gaining. Like, I was like, no, I'm still the same way. Like, yeah, like they're great people, awesome, but whatever. But you get that transfer call and you're like, I can't leave these people behind. And you realize that it doesn't come all at once, but you realize that the Lord's working through the Lord's working on you, and that you may not recognize it yourself, but you are learning to love the people little by little, and to the point where it was like this overwhelming love for the people by the end of my mission. It didn't happen all at once. It happened very little by little. So the sleeping, I couldn't sleep at first because it was kind of noisy. You'd hear all these cars going and you could hear the train sometimes. So luckily I was able to adjust to earplugs, and that really helped. And it was weird sleeping. You sleep on the ground on a futon. And if you can double stack them. If they're enough, you can get 2 futons, and that's the best. And the only way you can survive. But yeah, it's different there. It was definitely different, but it was good.